Welcome back to Signals on 91.3 Lagos. My name is Adeomi Oshodi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're looking at managing hospitality business. Profit managing hospitality business. And so I have someone with me who what I did was let me confess. I went to go and look for her trouble. She's posted something. I said, okay, this is something that we need to touch on. She's a chef, hospitality strategist, writer, and kindness advocate. An exciting career in hospitality spans over a decade, gaining invaluable experience in hotel investment advisory, food and beverage operations, and talent management, home and abroad. And the list is long. But as a humanist, she believes kindness is our personal social responsibility, and kindness has the power to change our lives, our cities, and the world. When she's not working, she's entertaining. No, she's showing different restaurants in Lagos that you can go. And then she's writing or learning the latest Afro dance challenge on TikTok. Okay, so now welcome to the program, Bukola Arowo Shafe.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing me. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Delighted to be here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on your show.
No problem. Now let's look at what cost. Let's pinpoint what happened.
Okay.
We talked about, so you posted something, and that's what we're going to start from this morning. When we're in the festive period, a lot of waiters and waitresses would be working, and I so much admire them. They're always on their feet, trying to be courteous, trying to be nice, even though they want to serve for you.
I know.
If they are here, right? And then I saw, I don't know if it was you that posted it or somebody who said it was a waiter or waitress. Somebody had gone to a restaurant to eat, and she was a bit shaking, and then the person who was the guest said, okay, have you? He said no, that they don't allow them to eat the food. You're the one that posted it. Yes. That they don't allow them to eat the food that they prepare. And I'm wondering, we are religious to say that where we are eating, where we are working, where we're supposed to be eating.
Absolutely.
So, and that got my attention, and I wanted you to shed more light on that.
Okay, thanks for doing me.
No problem.
So it was actually a repost from a colleague in the industry. So she had actually gotten it from a guest that was in a restaurant and shared her experience. So she shared it on her page, and I saw it. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I reposted it on my status. And after that, so many people just started, so many wait staff, F&B employees just started sharing their experiences. Even non-F&B people that work, for banks.
No, so F&B is food and beverage.
Food and beverage, yes. So people just started sharing their experiences of unfair treatment by their employers. And it's such an alarming situation, because you would think something as basic as food wouldn't be an issue. More so, it's an establishment that serves food and beverage. Alarming as it is, it seems to be the norm. You have so many rights, or will I say entitlements, things that you ought to have as a staff or as an employee of the institution. You don't get to receive those entitlements. Things like even lunch breaks, meal breaks,
shifts.
In some places, shift work. You have people working for as long as 12 hours
on their feet.
So it's really, really bad. I tell people there is no HR for hospitality. That's the truth. Hospitality is really different from, sort of other corporates or business sectors. Hospitality is all over the world. It is not the most lucrative industry. People often get into hospitality because they have a passion for service. They enjoy making people feel good, making people feel happy. So people do it because it's a passion, it's a desire to just want, to serve people, and the pay isn't great. So we expect that people at least have the minimum, that they should have, but that's not the case. And it starts with HR. It starts with the recruitment process. It starts with the employment process. People just, and then it's also bad in the sense that the industry is so easy to get into. In terms of educational qualification or skill set, it's an industry where you can get in with basically nothing, and then you are sort of trained, or you can sort of upskill yourself. So the level and the category of people coming into the industry are not as educated as they should be. They are not as empowered. So they can't even ask for these things. They can't even fight for their rights, so to speak.
Because they don't even know.
Because they don't even know. They don't have the, they're not bold enough, or how will I put it? Some are even desperate. Because like I said, without SS, with a qualification as low as primary school,
They can get into
hospitality industry. You can start as a kitchen assistant, or as a cleaner, or as a bus boy. So it's easy to get into the industry. So, and because of that, you have influx of people, and it's also very transitional in terms that people don't often stay in those jobs as well. You are working in a restaurant today, they are paying you, let me just say, 25,000 naira. If another restaurant opens 2 minutes away and they are paying
30,000,
that's even too far. Wow. 27,000, 28,000. Guys are gonna leave and then move into that restaurant. So even in terms of skill set, we are not able to build all of that. So there's so many factors, so many moving parts to this situation. But I really feel we need to start. We've often called out employers, and we've told people, even people in HR, these are basic entitlements for staff: shifting policies, meal policies, even uniforms. Some places don't even give the proper uniforms to their staff. People often have to be the ones who buy their own uniforms, or even wear their own personal uniforms. So these are basic, these are standards. These are standards everyone should have. And then we tell them, oh, you need to do this, but because it's such an industry that you can get people in and out, they're not bothered. So it's a case of, if you're not happy with the conditions here,
you can go.
That's the door. And she'll just look through a pile of CVs and she can literally within minutes, she's already on the phone calling people for interviews.
Now, Buki, share with us the ideal kind of restaurant, because you have vast experience both home and abroad. Now tell us. Okay,
so for a restaurant,
because everybody's getting into the business.
Oh yeah, I mean it's we love food, and it's not even about the food now. It's about the experience that comes with the food. People go to restaurants not so much because they want to go and spend 20,000 naira on something they can easily cook at home and wouldn't cost that much, but it's the experience. You're there, the ambience. You're there with your phone. It's on Snapchat. It's on Instagram and everything. So it's all social media. It's that pull factor. Everybody wants to post about their life, their lifestyle, their preferences. If you're an influencer, you have a community of people that follow you, that influence. They also want to know, where do you like to dine? What are your options to eating out in Lagos?
What's the cheapest option?
So people want to have all of those. They want you to almost decide for them on those things. So that's why you find a lot of restaurants popping up every other month, because the rush is there. People want to. So we now have a dining out culture, which wasn't there probably 5-10 years ago. People are dining out more. Young people, and apart from the food, people also go out to socialize. People also conduct business meetings over dinner and things like that. So for me, if you're a restaurant, food and beverage, or even a hotel, if you operate an 8-hour or 8 to 9 hour shift, your staff are entitled to 2 breaks. Okay, and then 2 meal breaks. So it could be 45 minutes to an hour, which is broken into 2 meal breaks. So people that come in on the early shift would have like a tea break or breakfast, just something, just some sustenance rather, for their, to just give them stand, to carry out the morning, the morning stroke, early lunch operations, and then another 30 minutes lunch break. And this should be food that is served in the restaurant. It's not a case of, it's lunch and then your people are walking outside of the gate to the nearest mama put to go and buy. No. In fact, it's so funny. Abroad, in some restaurants, there's something they call
kitchen.
There's a kitchen. There's something they call the family sort of setting or dining, where after service, everybody, the manager, the wait staff, the chefs, they don't pull up one big table, or they put tables together and then they just bring out food and everybody just sits down. You're eating, you're talking about, work and all of that. So there's that sort of. Nobody looks down on anybody that you're not fit enough to sit at the table with my manager. Everybody is more or less the same. And then in some places, if it's a buffet setup, after the buffet service, after the guest or the diners have had their meal, then staff now go to the buffet point and then also, you know, dish whatever they like. And so all of that should be factored into the cost of your business. You shouldn't see it as a separate cost. Because, you know, food is such a basic thing. However, it is very, very important. The time your staff would use to go out,
Let them eat in them.
yes. And then it also allows them to be immersed in the experience. So when they're selling the product, they have an idea of what it is. And this is also another practice I'm not sure a lot of restaurants do. When you put out a menu or recipe testing, your wait staff should actually sample the food. You go to restaurants, I always ask this question: what's your best seller? I always ask the ladies or the guys that wait on me, what do you recommend? And they're like,
You don't know.
madam, you can try this one, this one. I'm like, so what's in it? What does it taste like? And they're,
You don't know.
even the pronunciation of some of the dishes, they don't even know. You know, so, and I'm like, these are
And
the
I'm
first.
worried.
This is the first point of contact with your guests, with your customers. It's not the chef who is slaving away behind the stove. It's
Sometimes the chef that will come out.
so it's the wait staff. They are the ones that talk to your customers, you know, one-on-one. That first point of contact is with them. So they, out of all people, should be empowered enough to know what's on the menu, what they're selling. They don't deserve to have that knowledge.
Okay. I'm trying to be very, so I'm trying to
No,
be,
it's a lot.
to be nice as possible. So
Okay.
it's almost as if the likes to oppress another person. Or is it a mindset thing that, oh, you're better than me and all of those naughty things?
I think, well, to an extent, yes. I don't think we as a people were kind to one another. And this cuts across not even hospitality or work, just in general. You know, there's no respect for the other person. Once I'm in a position of power and authority and influence, if you're not at that level with me, you don't matter. And it shouldn't be. And I think that's something the advanced countries have over us. You know, they are not as... So, for instance, you know, abroad, everybody gets on the bus.
Yes.
Everybody can walk to the store and pick up. You won't be surprised. You'll find somebody high up in government, you know, shopping with you. But here, there's that. The classes are defined. Everybody's put in their level, and you dare not try to. So in a way, it makes us very, very aspirational. So people aspire to want to be at that level, you know, the A class, and they're ready to do whatever it takes. And it shouldn't be. Certain comforts should cut across. So it's a systemic problem. It's not even down to hospitality at all. So, but I think that's one of the reasons why I push for kindness. We are not kind to one another. It's really, you know, and then we are the most. Maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but
Populous.
No, as in religious.
So
I mean, let's just say that out. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, if we're kind to one another, you can empathize with the person.
It's only Sunday. It's only
you
Sunday.
know, there's no point. I mean, how would you feel if you were on your feet from morning to, and then there's no food in your tummy? How are you supposed to operate? It doesn't even. It's mind-boggling. You know. So
I really thank you for calling this out. So the question in top of my head is, who now fights for the rights of the waiters, waitress? Is it that we have a union?
so that's the thing, and that's the funny thing. There's almost this. So unions are discouraged. Let me put it that way.
We all don't like
you don't
trouble.
find that in hospitality. Abroad, you have unions.
You have unions.
And those unions are there to protect the rights of the workers. So in this case, ideally, it should be HR. That is able to, you know, sort of balance the employees' expectations and match that with what the employer wants, the visions and goals for his business. So the HR should sort of be that mediator that balances. But oftentimes the HR tends to be skewed more towards the employers. You know, so, and then, you know, when I discuss with my colleagues, I'm like, there's no point telling HR to do better or telling employers to do better. We need to empower these guys, because they say knowledge is power. If they know they are right, if they know they deserve certain things, they can speak up. A lot of them can't speak up because
They're scared of the
They're
jobs.
scared, and the fear is not so much that the fear is not so much, oh, or God can beat me, or God can. The fear is like, I don't know any better. This is me. This is all that I have. Education wise, this is all of it. Career experience wise, this is all of it. See, there's a different thing when you have a certain skill. When your resume is top notch,
yeah,
you can walk into a room and be like, okay,
you
this is what I want. You know, but someone that has just primary school living, come on, it's whatever they throw to him that he's even happy with. So I think it's important for professionals in the industry to begin to look at our people and educate them, empower them, so that they walk into interviews, they can demand for those basic things. They can ask the HR, what is your policy on meal on meal breaks? What is your policy on shifting? They can ask the HR those questions. And if they ask the HR and they say, oh, we don't do that here, we don't, then
that you're not safe. So
you go into that company, you know that, okay, these guys are not ready I'm going to be working 12 or 14 hours a day, because I know.
Bookie. So yeah, you and I was talking meal breaks, shifts.
Yes.
And then what about the hazards in the kitchen?
Oh, that's another thing at all. That's another different topic, health and safety. Like I said, we get away with murder here. There are many restaurants that should. I bet if some of us could go behind the scenes,
I always watch for that.
Go back.
Like
I feel like there should be a show, Undercover Guest, where you just act as a chef and then you just go around all the stretch. Apply as a kitchen assistant rather, and then you just document everything that goes behind the scenes. A lot of us will probably not dine.
Yeah,
a lot of us will be scared to come out by the time we see pictures and visuals.
You know why I'm talking about this? Because it's easier for us to talk about the Mama Put that they say she has put something in her food.
Funny enough, you'll be surprised Mama Put is doing healthier at the end of the day, because you see what she's doing right there in front of you.
You can the
bone and the firewood and everything is there. You can see it. You can see all you can see her processes. You can see the tools, the equipment.
You can see
behind the dining area. You don't even.
You don't want
to know what goes in there. Like you really don't want to know.
Because I look at it and
so the industry just isn't standardized enough. So in terms of SOPs I don't want to sort of put everybody under the bus. There are owners and managers that are truly professionals in the space, and they assure and they enforce those things. They enforce those SOPs. So the problem is usually when the owner isn't from a hospitality background, and then he hires a manager
who also
doesn't know. So it's the case of the blind leading the blind. So I'm not saying the owners should know about hospitality, but at least let the person at the helm of affairs be knowledgeable about the industry, so they know about food safety and hygiene. They know about HR when it comes to hospitality. They know SOPs for both back of house and front of house. Those things are very important.
Okay, so we're still talking, because anytime I admire them. I admire those waiters and waitresses.
They are the real MVPs.
Yeah, I admire them so much that there's this thing that we now say that if you're going to be with people, see how they treat their waiters, their waitresses.
Yes. Oh,
see how they treat their gate men.
Yes.
And I look at them, they only have school start. And I think what bothers me is, you're going to a restaurant or you're going anywhere to go and buy food. The person that you're sending to go and buy food has your power, they have power.
At that point in time, they have power over you. They can literally
kill you.
Exactly.
Right, so I'm wondering, they're looking. I do that thing a lot. I'm sending somebody to go and buy food. Please buy your own, so that
whatever you buy, we'll eat together. Whatever you put inside,
because you can tell when somebody is not happy, and you don't want. Yes, they'll smile, they'll be nice to you, but if you observe people very well, if you're a student of people, you know that something is wrong.
Absolutely.
So you were wondering, okay, so you go forward and you say, okay, you want to tip them. That's another issue.
Yes.
For some people, they don't like to be tipped. For some people, they'll have to tell. I think that was one I experienced. I gave the guy. The guy was all over me. Yeah. So I was just. They have my move button. Exactly. For some reason.
I can imagine.
And then I gave him 1,000 naira. And what he did was he told his team lead that I gave him money. And I'm like, okay, that thing that our parents used to do, that when they give us money, they will not give us money.
I know, right? I wouldn't wait on them because you don't know when it will not come back to you.
So I go, and it was a new 1,000 naira note. I'm going. So I now asked the cashier. I said, "Are they going to give this guy the one?" They said yes. I said, "Okay, fine. If not, I was going to give him another one." Now,
Yes.
so how do we? What's the culture of tipping like?
So it's, I mean, I think it's still optional.
Okay.
It's not like you should tip. However, it's encouraged if you really enjoyed the experience, you know, from the food, you've enjoyed the service or the waiter. So it's just something to just encourage them to, like, keep it up, you know, you're doing great. But I think in terms of how that tip is now processed, so to say, so some establishment might say, oh, you need to tell the manager, and then you probably get a cut of that tip. And in some places, the tip is included in the bill. And then at the end of the month, or I don't know what they now they now share it, so to speak. And then there's also service charge, which in a way some people would probably replace with the tipping, you know, that, okay, I mean, after all, you get a service charge. So that is, you know, more or less the charge for your service.
So Buki, you're the professional. You know, we're in the festive period and people will be dining out a lot.
Yes.
What should people, when they're going to restaurants, what should they do differently when they're going?
Okay, funny you should say that. We actually have a restaurant guide coming up. I think it'll be out tomorrow. I'm just putting it together. So they are, first and foremost, you're spoiled for choice. Yeah, like restaurants are literally popping up every other month. Everywhere. And I'm like, what's going on?
My fear is my fear for that is the long run maintenance.
Yes.
It's one thing to compete, it's another thing to be in the business till.
And then yes, you have that longevity. So I think if you're dining out this festive period, you want to look at the three important things. You know, value for money. Okay. You know, you don't want to go to a restaurant where you're paying for the ambience and not the food. You know, so value for money, and then also what has been the past experience like in those restaurants? You know, I wouldn't necessarily say you should go into a new restaurant that is just open because of the
design of the wall,
the buzz around it. You know, you could go to tried and tested. And oftentimes you find out those tried and tested will also have their special Christmas offers. Okay. So I'm sure people would have restaurants that they love, you know, because if you're going out as a family, they provide that space and comfort for families. So you could always visit those ones and find out, oh, what are they doing differently for Christmas? They might have discounts on certain things. So I think do a lot of the follow up on your favorite restaurants, find out what they are doing for Christmas, ensure you're getting value for money. What else? Recommendations from other friends or people that have dined in restaurants that you might not have. You know, those are usually good, you know, to go by people that have experienced the restaurants. So yes, but I think value for money, quality food, ambience, and if you're going as a family, you know, making sure that you're well taken care of as a family.
Okay. And they serve you on time.
And they serve, oh yes, definitely service. So yes, so food service, yes.
Now we've talked about all of this. Let's talk about a little bit of you. Okay. What led you to explore the hospitality sector? Because I remember the day I met you. And we were all up with, I was just looking, I said, okay, it was all games and okay, what's going on? Can I know this person more? Okay,
it's a calling. I think most true hospitality professionals will tell you it's a calling. It's like you're called to do it. It's a call to service. And the interest started with food. So as a little girl, I remember my mom used to have this onward exercise book. And it had recipes for donuts, cake, chin chin, jollof rice. And I just saw it lying around it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I just started looking through and, you know, I'll just watch her cook, and I started experimenting on my own. So I'll go into the garden, you know, those flower pot stands. I'll get some of mom's old pots, just get leaves from the garden, take some palm oil, just used to just do a lot of nonsense, you know. So I think for me, that whole like how raw ingredients can be processed into a meal became fascinating. So I started with food first. I trained to become a chef. And then after that, I felt, okay, I wanted to do more in terms of management, operations wise, and then I went into investment advisory. And then now I run a company with my sister, well, siblings. It's called Guava Hospitality, and we're more about advisory and talent management, because I feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the humans or people in hospitality. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, empowering them, you know, making sure they have access to learning and development opportunities is very, very important.
Now, is hospitality very profitable? Just profitable? Or by getting there?
Oh, I mean, the restaurants popping up every other month, it's a testament to the fact that it can be a profitable business. And they also mentioned on something that is very, very important, sustaining that, because some businesses will open, some restaurants or hotels would open. In fact, COVID was almost like a litmus test for a lot of people in this space. Some restaurants, hotels were struggling before COVID, and then when COVID came, it was just like the final knock on the coffin. So a lot of them went under. In terms of maintaining profitability and sustaining the business, you find out that a lot of when it comes to restaurants in Lagos particularly, you find it's the indigenous companies tend to struggle when compared with foreign-owned establishments. That's because they have hospitality experience. So these are oftentimes they are family businesses, and these are families that hospitality has been in that space for decades. So they are not learners when it comes to hospitality. So they know the tools, the tricks, they know how to maneuver when it comes to different price change dynamics involving consumer taste and preference. So they know how to maneuver around all of that, and then they bring their wealth of experience from abroad into an industry that is quite a baby, so they're able to take advantage of that. So for indigenous companies, I think it's important for you to understand what hospitality is about. So even if you're the financier, you're the person putting up the structure, and you don't know much about the business, it's important that you now have people that know about the business to help you make that business, profitable, for you to be able to sustain that business. And then hiring the right people, empowering those people, because, for me, it's 3 P's for profitability. It's people, passion, and professionalism. If you get all of those 3 right, your business will definitely be profitable.
Now, looking at Nigeria, looking at how have we fared so far post-COVID in the industry?
Well, we've done really well.
Okay.
I think, in general, we're not so severely affected like the rest of the world. So that sort of created a cushion for us to sort of bounce back and recover on time, because we didn't have those death figures and the hospitals were overwhelmed. We just had, so we're really just grateful to God that it wasn't so bad here. So and the industry here, the hospitality industry here, so be it restaurants, be it hotels, be it entertainment, is fueled by local demand. So a lot of the revenue and businesses generated for hospitality is controlled by locals. So people are using hotels, local people are using hotels, businesses, they're having conferences, they're having events. Restaurants are also being patronized mostly by locals. And if you look at the population in Lagos, it keeps growing. So there will forever be enough supply, for the businesses that's, that are in the industry. And then I'll just give figures. For hotels, in terms of occupancy and RevPAR, they were even doing better than they were before pre-COVID. You have hotels averaging at about 60 to 65%, which is remarkable coming out of COVID. Some places in the world are still struggling with occupancy like 30-40%, and we are doing way above that. So it's a testament to the fact that yes, nothing can. No, Nigerians, we are tough like that. Like nothing can literally shake us. So we'll always bounce back.
So let's play a little bit of Riddle. At some point, the inflation. Let's talk about inflation.
Yes.
How some restaurants started to sell rice and egg.
Yes.
Some restaurants started to sell jollof rice. The person that was selling pizza was not selling jollof rice.
Yes.
Now, what are your thoughts on that?
It's brilliant. So that is what I called market segmentation.
Okay.
So, and that is also, if you it is. Because the thing is, if you understand, data is very, very important. So, and that's also another thing I need to mention. So whatever business it is you're operating in, you need to continue to understand what the market is saying. What do people want? So for restaurants that would normally sell, sort of high-end bougie and sort of products are now coming down to the levels of, people that cannot afford those things. It's in business, it's called market segmentation. So you are dividing the market to make sure that you're making sure that you are providing products and services for everybody. So the more markets you're able to capture, or if you're able to have more than fair share of the market, that is more money in your pocket. Okay. So if the market that wants rice and egg, for instance, they are bringing in more cash. If you're not serving that market, it's a plus. Because if you're not serving that market, your competitor next door would definitely do that. So it's called market segmentation, and that comes from understanding the market. And I think that's something businesses should explore. Don't feel too
big.
Exactly. Don't feel too big, too like, oh, it's beneath me. You know, if provided you have the operational efficiency, you can segment your market so that you're catering to different people within the same, you know, community or local environment. And for that, you know, I mean, that would even sustain your business. Because times when people cannot afford certain things, you know that there are people at a certain tier, come what may, those guys would definitely buy.
Okay, it signals on 91.3. We're talking managing profitability in business. Numbers to call is 009-191-3913 or 009-234-5913. I am with Bukola, and 015151913 or 015150913. We're talking hospitality, right? And if you have questions or comments for her, it's time to call us 015151913 or 015150913 or 00922200913. Now, there's this growing culture of visiting restaurants. Everyone is visiting.
Yes.
Always entering one restaurant or the other. It's just that
you guys serve the bill, like, okay.
Yes,
I know what you mean.
Now, does innovation of food and ambience come into play here?
Yes.
Are we that innovative with food?
I think we have chefs that are coming up and they're doing amazing things. However, what is important for me is we need to embrace more of our local produce. Now, the reason why some things it's for me, it's mind-boggling to think. I was speaking to an industry colleague. He supplies kitchen equipment. He's from Lebanon, and then it's like we are surrounded. We're a coastal city, and he wonders why we don't have, you know, more seafood restaurants, more fresh fish restaurants. Okay. You know, you see things like steak imported from, you know, places outside on the menu. All of those things, it's good, but it's not sustainable. Because the thing is, and then it also doesn't allow you to plan, because one minute you're importing at a certain price, the next minute it's a different price. However, if 80 to 90% of your inventory is local, you still have some sort of power to control, you know, fluctuations with pricing. But if it's coming from outside, you know, it makes it difficult. So I think it's important for us to look at our local produce, and we're so blessed in this country. I feel like the harvest in terms of food, you can literally swing from Latin American cuisine to Asian cuisine to South American cuisine. When you just look at the produce we have, I mean, we have, is it fruits? Is it tubers? Is it grains? Name it. We have so much. So it's that whole thing that we still feel like, oh, everything foreign is better. See, when it comes to food, if you are born on a certain soil in terms of your place of origin, you should consume more of the food that comes from that soil. You know, and that also boils down to the culture of we are buying a lot of imported things, and that's why you have like food, digestive, health-related diseases now on the increase. A lot of it has got to do with what we are putting in our systems, because they are not things of the soil that we are born in. Yes. If you eat more of local produce, I mean, and then also the link between the agriculture sector, you begin to see all those very, very symbiotic relationships begin to flourish. For instance, you just get all your produce from a certain farm. You're able to build that sort of long-term relationship and contracts with farmers, you know, from different places. So it's good for their business, and it's also good for you. And then it's pocket-friendly for your consumers.
But you know that because we Nigerians can be very bougie, like
that's what I'm saying. We can be bougie with our local produce. You could do so many things with rice. You could do so many things with beans, and that's where innovation comes in. You know, like you mentioned,
bread and beans. However, it's sort of packaged.
Like really, we have. I mean, and it's no wonder that West African food is getting a lot of attention now. Everybody wants to experience
our jollof rice.
Our jollof rice. it's become, we have
the Ghana Jollof Voice.
We have the Ghana Jollof Voice. I'm even saying like the whole resurgence of Afrobeat has created this sort of backdrop for everything coming out of Africa to be at that international. People now want to come to, imagine foreigners coming into Africa and they want to experience our food. They want to experience the culture, and they go into a restaurant and then they see steak. They see things and they're wondering,
where is the jollof
where is the local? I want to eat the swallow, the eba.
So we should be grateful to all our mama put, all our.
Absolutely. If you go to an Indian restaurant, you will find authentic. They're not trying to impress you. I'm coming into an Indian restaurant, so we need to have more of Nigerian, and you'll find that like in London, for instance, you have Ikoyi, the restaurant called Ikoyi. There's also Akoko. So these are restaurants that are fusing, ingredients out of West Africa, and some of them have gone on to win Michelin stars, which is remarkable.
Hold on. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Yes, I'm on to Lagos FM.
Yes. Signals on Lagos.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Your name, please.
Oh, okay. I don't know if there's a live show.
You're still a live show.
Oh, hey, yes. Okay. I was listening to your guest there, and actually she said a lot of things about the hospitality sector.
Yes. What's your name? What's your name?
Angus.
Okay, Angus. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Lagos.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. I really want to say at least, I want to ask her if she actually have a training facility, or how can somebody reach her
I was hoping
so that we can
reach out.
We can get more clear on everything.
Okay, then she will drop her number at the end of the show.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I was really hoping for that. So for the people, I didn't want us to leave out our people, because we talked about people, passion, and professionalism.
Yes.
Now, how can these waiters and waitresses look beyond just serving tables, cleaning tables, shift, and all of that, to having a career in hospitality?
Yes.
How do we do that for them?
Okay, so I think that's also important.
Because why I'm asking is, the moment somebody's in the kitchen, they feel they know everything.
Yes.
Right? They feel that, okay, I know this, and one brand is coming to my head so they feel that they know everything.
Yes.
But that's not it.
It's exactly. No, so at the point of when you engage a waiter, or when she's hired or is hired, a waiter or a chef, there needs to be a clear career path. They need to understand that, okay, so you're starting as a kitchen assistant or a commis chef or a waitress. In the next 2 to 3 years, you can actually progress to becoming a supervisor or a coordinator. And for you to get there, you will need to have this amount of training, this certification. So I think all of that needs to be mapped out. So HR and owners need to be intentional. They need to want their staff to progress. But that's not the case.
No. Let's be aspirational.
Yes.
Let's just be aspirational and say that they need their staffs to progress.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me look. Don't let's just do that one. And so another one is because my time is almost up. The money that the restaurant makes, is it enough to cover salaries?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It isn't.
It's so that we don't start.
It isn't. We can do better for our people. I mean, and that's still at the backdrop that hospitality isn't the most lucrative industry. However, the pay, the remuneration needs to be fair. You need to have a salary where you can cover your accommodation, the cost. It's so funny. Like most of the restaurants on the island, I'll probably say 85% of their wait staff or their employees come from the mainland. And by the time you calculate the cost of transportation, all of that, their salary isn't nothing. And then, so that now, there's now this sort of predisposition to want to steal, to want to augment their salaries in whatever way that comes to them, wherever that they have access to. So we need to do more for our people. Okay, so let me
play a little bit of devil's advocate. And then so I'm a restaurant owner, and I'm like, we're not making enough money. How are we going to cover all of this? How do we strike the balance? I think that's why.
So it starts from defining what sort of restaurant you want to operate. Look at the operational efficiency. look at what can work within your resources. Don't go and open because your neighbor opened a 70-room hotel, or your neighbor opened, or somebody that you know opened a 30-seater restaurant. If you don't have the resources or operational efficiency for that, you shouldn't. Look at what you have within your means to set up something. So it could be small. It could even be something. It shouldn't even be brick and mortar. You could have like an off-site F&B establishments where you know people are working behind the scenes, and then you just in that sort of model, your cost is now more towards delivery, you know, ensuring efficient delivery system, and then you don't have a lot of hands, so to speak. So it's basically understanding what works for you and then what works in terms of your operational efficiency.
And what's the future of hospitality?
Oh, it's bright,
in Nigeria,
and it's amazing, and it's exciting, and it's just.
Can we move some of the restaurants to other states?
Other states, what do you mean move? Oh, I mean the restaurants here.
Yeah.
Oh, but the cash is here.
Huh.
Our people here, this is where the social media influencers, all of those things drive, the hospitality business.
One last one. I was asked to ask this.
Okay.
So you enjoy, and I'm going to don't worry, I'm coming for you. So you enjoy TikTok videos, watching dance movies. I really don't like something. But yeah, come on, dance small.
Oh no. I don't have the right shoes on.
Anyway.
And I'm still a learner.
Yeah, you're doing well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Before we go, how would they reach you?
Okay, so the name of the company is Guava Hospitality. That's also our handle on Instagram. My number, or the office line, is 070-69-558-945.
Yeah, Russian.
Oh, okay, sorry. 070-69-558-945.
Okay then. Till come your way again next week Saturday, like we always say on Signals. Dream again, create opportunities for people. Nigerians, please don't oppress other people. And I know I'm saying that. Be kind to one another, like she has rightly said. Have a wonderful week, and God bless. I had fun.
I thought we could go on for another hour.
I was having fun.